Eastern. All right. Well, great. Yes, and next up, we've got Andrea Cruz, who's going to be talking about Quora ads. So, and yet another ads opportunity, different kind of platform. And Quora ads kind of came out of the gate a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, with lots and lots of new capabilities around its ads business. So, Andrea, I'm sure you've got lots to share with us.
That's the plan. Let me just, guys, confirm that you can hear me and you're seeing my slides. Is that correct?
Correct.
Then let's rock. As Ginny just mentioned, my name is Andrea Cruz. I'm going to be talking today about Quora ads and how to go from basics to mastery. I have a lot of content, so I'm going to go quick. The good thing is you guys are going to get a copy of the recordings, so we can always go back and you can always hit me with questions on social media. But as Dwayne just said, every day, or the way I think about it is, as marketers, every day we're thinking about how can I get more leads and continue to increase my revenue. And when you start thinking about your options, then you at some point realize, oh God, everything's so expensive. Google is so expensive. Facebook is so expensive. If you go to Facebook Business Manager, you might not see any data at all. Then Google come up with this weird thing saying, oh, we're going to get rid of broad match modified. But phrase is going to become broad match, but we're still going to call it phrase. It's like, who has time to keep up with all of this? So my job today is to show you a new ice cream flavor, and that ice cream flavor is called Quora. Quora doesn't work for everyone. That's 100% truth. It's not the first place you should go to either. But there's an opportunity in there for a lot of audiences. And we're going to be talking today about the pros, the cons, what works, what doesn't work. And we go from there. Because yes, a lot of people say there's no enough people on Quora. I will spend $1 a day. And those are things that are not actually true. Just before we get started, as I mentioned, my name is Andrea Cruz. I am a senior digital marketing manager at Comarketing. We are a B2B digital marketing agency. I specialize on B2B PPC. So a lot of the examples I'm going to give you today are B2B oriented, but I have information about B2C audiences as well. So don't worry, I didn't leave you out. I made the top 50 most influential PPC experts in 2019 and 2020. And yes, I have an accent. That's because I was born and raised in Maracaibo, Venezuela. So hello to all the Latin American people. But enough about me. This is the plan for today. We're going to talk about Quora, formats for ads, targeting, and then those tips and tricks that we all are looking for all the time. So starting with Quora, if you are unfamiliar with the platform, it's a platform where you can go and ask questions and other users who have accounts will reply to those questions. There are about 300 million monthly unique visitors. This is about half of LinkedIn's audience. Most of the people who are in the platform are male. And when we look at ages, half of their audience is between 18 to 34 years. And then the other half is 35 or older. Most of them will use mobile devices to access the platform, about 75% of them. And on the side, I also added these really cool stats that Quora has provided. Like 37% of users are likely to be a manager, which is not surprising because if the vast majority of their audience is between the ages of 25 or 34, that's the age that you usually become a manager. In a lot of instances. Most users have a college degree, which then derives that 54% of users report a high household income. So at this point, we know about what people look like and how do they get to Quora. Now let's talk about what they talk about. Quora released this in 2018, and it's some of their most popular topics out there. You can see there's a little bit of everything. You can go from dating and relationships to technology, to marketing, to healthcare, to higher education, really big topic. So when you're thinking about Quora and where you place this type of questions that people are asking in a traditional funnel, I like to place Quora in the awareness and consideration stage. when people have symptoms, they know they have an issue, they just don't know that your company or your product or your service is the solution for that symptom. So Quora is a great place for that, as well as a place for consideration. When people are comparing your company versus another company, you can target those specific questions, and we will go about that in other slide. But that's where Quora shines the most. And that's where I have seen the most success. So keeping this rolling, let's talk about ad formats. And these ones are pretty straightforward because there are only 3. They have text ads, image ads, and promoted answers. Text ads was the first type of ad that Quora launched. It's basically a headline and a description, and you have a call to action. Nothing too difficult there, very easy to set up. Then they came up with image ads, which is the exact same thing as a text ad, but it has an image. That's it. That's the only difference. As I mentioned earlier, I work with B2B accounts, so it's not fun to show people a picture of a software. But if you have, you are in the higher education space, in the relationship space, you will see a lot of great images that can really drive the attention of the user and make them feel identified. Last but not least, Quora launched not too long ago promoted answers, which is basically if somebody writes a review or a question and they type an answer that you like a lot, because they are saying that your business is great, that they love your product or whatever that might be, you can boost that post and show it on specific questions and topics. And so they're really great. They are not really designed to send users to your website. They are more of an awareness play. And you can pay by CPN or CPC, but if you want to go by the CPC method, you will only pay when somebody hits that tiny little more, that it's an anchor text or and I have a link at the end of the preview of the promoted answer. So it's pretty difficult for someone to click on them, but they can be magical, just as text ads on LinkedIn, which are very underutilized. Okay, I'm going very quickly, but I told you I was going to. We talk about what's Quora. We talk about the people who are there. We talk about the different ad formats. Now let's talk about how we can target people, because this is what makes Quora unique. Some of the targeting options they have are only available on Quora, which makes them very exciting to use. But we have primary and secondary targets. We are obviously going to talk about both. Let's start with the primary targets. Now, the primary targeting options. The very first one is broad targeting. This basically means you're going to target everyone. As no marketer would target everyone, we're going to skip going into details. And let's talk about contextual targeting, which is the place where everybody, if they are not starting with a remarketing list, they could start on Quora and use that contextual targeting. That is subdivided into different categories. The first one is being topic targeting. Do you remember we talked about the popular topics on Quora? Healthcare, marketing. You can target those big topics and go for to show your ads on those questions and feeds that are related to that topic. But you might say, hey, Andrea, I don't serve the whole marketing topic. I only serve a subset of it. Then you can use keyword targeting in that case. So if you are running Google Ads or Microsoft Ads and you have top 10, top 20 keywords that you know, it doesn't matter which day of the week it is, those keywords are your best keywords. You can copy and paste them into Quora, and then you can target questions that include those keywords in there. So it's very specific. But if you say, Andrea, that's even too broad for me, I don't feel comfortable, then you can do question targeting and target 2, 3, 5 questions that you think are key, that it doesn't matter which user lands on that question, because it's so specific to you that you want to have a presence, or the intent behind that question is so specific you want to show ads on that, then you can do that. Why not? But now, contextual targeting is really based on today and what you are doing now. Quora also has behavioral targeting, which is pretty similar to contextual. The difference is behavioral targeting is based on actions you took in the past. So for example, interest targeting is that you have shown interest on specific topics over time. But you can also do keyword history targeting, which basically means if you saw a question in the past that has the keyword you are targeting, then your ad will show up to that user. And then you also have question history targeting, which is you will target anyone who saw that specific question in the past, and you can place them an ad today. I don't recommend starting with behavioral targeting. Once you nail down your contextual targeting, you can use behavioral targeting as a way to expand and to go open up the gates a little bit. And then Quora also offers audience targeting. This is no different than what you do in any other platform. You can install the Quora pixel through your HTML or Google Tag Manager and start remarketing to people who visited your website or took specific actions. You can upload email lists, and you can create lookalike audiences. So all of those are options within the Quora Ads platform. Now let's talk about the secondary targeting options, and these ones are pretty much self-explanatory. You can target people based on where they are located, their gender, their device, people who receive the Quora newsletter. And then the most important secondary targeting option is the last one, which is exclude questions or audiences. We all know how important it is to review your search query or your search term report on Google Ads and Microsoft Ads. Well, if there are questions that don't really apply to what you are targeting, or you might be overlapping two campaigns, you can exclude those questions and go from there. So definitely a pro tip is to really spend some time thinking about where is your ad going to show up for and what you should be excluding. Okay, now we get into the tips and tricks section of this presentation. And the tip number one is to write your headers as questions. So your ad blends with the organic results. And if you haven't seen Quora recently, this is what it looks like. The one on the top is an ad. The one at the bottom is a regular question. How do you identify them? Because in very tiny, almost, you cannot even see them very well. And we know it because we are marketers. But someone who is not a marketer will most likely miss that one says promoted and the other one says this is recommended for you or recommended based on things you have interest in. And for the record, I don't work or are associated to Asana in any way. I just went to my feed and saw that ad and I thought that this is great. You cannot really notice it's an ad unless you read it's an ad. So something definitely to consider. And you might be asking, well, how do I know which questions should I, or which ads should I phrase as questions, or where do I get inspiration? I recommend you check out BuzzSumo. They have a free version. For this example, I'm using the paid version, but the free version will do the trick just fine. After you log into your account, you can go and click where it says questions, and then it's gonna take you to a place that looks like this, where you can search by keyword. So I added enterprise resource planning. I filter by site types that only are Q&A, and that will only show you Quora Ads results. And you can even filter by how the question starts, with how and what and where and which and why. And if you keep going, you will see those very popular questions that are generating a ton of engagement recently. You can click on them, see what type of answers they are getting. But there's something that I like even more, which is instead of looking at just view questions, BuzzSumo will show you view-related themes. If you click on that, it's going to show you something that looks like this. It's going to show you the main keyword and how many questions are associated to that keyword. It's going to show you related keywords. So if there are not too many questions or volume is not there, this is an easy way to think, well, maybe I don't want to do question targeting. I feel comfortable doing keyword targeting. So this could be a way that to help you deduct what you should be doing, as well as a way to find questions that are irrelevant that you might want to exclude in the future. If you have a platform like Answer the Public, that will also do the trick in terms of showing you questions. The cool thing about BuzzSumo is it only shows you Quora ads questions. Then let's go to another tip, which is if a user wrote a great review about your services or your products, it is a no-brainer to promote or boost that answer. So we go back to that Asana example. That's a promoted answer. We know it because it has that more at the end of the preview of the answer. And something to call out on this Asana example is if you notice the person actually works at Asana. So it was obviously an answer that was prepared by their marketing team in order to showcase some of their benefits and why they are the best platform for whatever they are claiming. When you click that more button, you will get this super nice answer of up to 250 characters. And again, these ads are not intended to drive traffic. They are really that awareness and that help of consideration of we are great and here's why. That being said, if you are writing the answer yourself and you are going to promote it, it's okay to add a link to your website. Asana in this example did it where it says collaborate. You can see it's very difficult for someone to see it, but you should not lose the opportunity. At this point, Asana already paid for the click that I made. That probably cost them $2 tops. But if a user does read your question, they hit that more button and they read the whole text and then they go to their page, that shows you a lot of intent behind that user, that it's actually spending time and going through your information. Pro tip number 3, this one is easy. Just separate your mobile and desktop traffic. As mentioned earlier, I work in B2B, and B2B companies are not known for having a nice and fast mobile experience. And the other reality is if you leave them together, mobile traffic will be the one that takes most of your budget. If you have different experiences or you know that one user is more valuable than the other one, just separate that traffic from the get-go, and then you can determine what you want to do moving forward. Pro tip number 4 is promote ads on questions with good organic presence. We go back to one of the very first slides I show you today that show that Quora has 300 million plus average monthly visitors. The reality is that that's not a ton of people. So one easy way is if you have a tool like SEMrush, you can always search for Quora organically, filter by keywords that they rank in the top 10 Google search results. And you will see that Quora actually has presence for more than 5 million terms. So continuing in the spirit of enterprise resource planning systems or ERPs, I type to filter anything that contains the word SAP, which is a fairly common ERP system, and then type versus, because I want to see people comparing one and the other. And then SEMrush, or the tool you have at your disposal, will show you all those really nice organic results that Quora have, that they rank on position 3 and 4 of Google. And if you want to target things like SAP versus ERP or SAP versus ETAPS, getting a Google ad to show up on a term like that will cost you minimum $10 or so, and this is just a guess. Well, in Quora, I've never paid more than $2 or $3 for a click. And this is a user that it's doing research, it's engaged, it's looking through organic results, overcome already some of the paid ads that were at the top of the page, if there were any. So something definitely to consider. So this is what we covered today. It was a lot, I know, and I went very fast. But we talked about what Quora is, who is in that audience, what type of content they consume, which type of questions they are asking. We talk about ad formats. There are 3 very easy to remember: text ads, image ads, and promoted answers. Then we talk about targeting and their primary and secondary targeting options. And then I gave you a few tips and tricks to get you started. Because again, if you are a digital marketer, you're probably asking yourself every night, well, what are we going to do tonight? Just like Pinky and the Brain, and the answer will most likely be the same. We do the same thing we do every night. We want to increase lead flow and quality. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation. If you have any questions, hit me on Twitter. And other than that, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.